This is the Trek CheckOUT SL7, and this is the first bike I've ever purchased sight unseen. But it's very similar to in terms of frame geometry, to my Santa Cruz Stigmata. So I was pretty confident about what I was getting with this bike, and it's performing as expected. It is a great gravel bike. If this bike had come out like a year or so earlier, I wouldn't have purchased the Santa Cruz Stigmata. But now I've got two bikes. One I'll use a lot more for the road, and the other I'll use for going off road. The nice thing about a gravel bike is that you can pretty much go anywhere. You're not limited to the road, you're not limited to the trail, and a gravel bike does pretty well on each of them. This is sort of a owner's first impression. I've only had the bike a few days, but I've done 3 rides and I've covered about 50 miles. I've gained about 6,400 feet in elevation, and I spent about 5 hours in the saddle. About 30 of those miles are on dirt trails and 20 of those miles on the road. So I've got a pretty good sense of, how this bike handles on single track, gravel, dirt roads, Santa Cruz mountains, beat up paved roads, etc. And it's just really turning out to be a great experience. So yeah, this is the checkout. I got the custom bag. It's really nice. You can keep all your gear kind of tucked away real tight. It doesn't interfere with your legs and it doesn't add a lot of weight. It also has this rear rack, which doesn't really rattle. I mean, every now and then you might hear a little bit of shake when you hit a rock or something. But it's actually really solidly built and it's articulated. It goes in and out with the suspension. Handlebars, they look a little bit wide. They flare out at the end, which I really don't understand why they need to flare out at the end. But where you put your hands, either on the hoods or the drops, is pretty much the same width as any other gravel bike like my Stigmata. I'm usually riding on the tops or the hoods or sometimes in. All right, this is footage from the rear camera. I know I got the light flashing. But what I want to show with this is, well, I'm in the dropper, so there's a dropper post. So I've dropped the seat, and the camera is mounted to the seat rails. And what you're seeing is the rear rack. Now, normally you wouldn't see that because the camera would be up higher. That bouncing or that bob, that's not bouncing. That's suspension. So there is about 55 millimeters of travel in the rear suspension, and it does a great job absorbing the trail. And you can see it right there. Again, that's not bouncing. That's suspension. That's really cool. Two things. One, it's super comfortable to ride this bike, but also there's a lot of control. On my Stigmata going down this trail, it might take me 18, 20 minutes without even trying on the checkout, just letting the bike do its thing. I'm going down at about 13 miles per hour. Now, I'm a fairly conservative rider. I know this video may not make it look like it is, but I play it pretty safe. I quash my jumps and I take turns carefully. But when you got a downhill section like this, and there's no hikers coming up, you just kind of let loose and you let the bike take you, and it's got a really good feel. I'm really impressed with the Stigmata. Here I am on a gravel trail and just really barreling down, probably in the dropper position, probably drop the seat at this point because I'm getting some pretty good speed here. But the comfort, I'm in the over 50 crowd, and comfort just means an awful lot because my body just can't take a beating like it used to. My other bike was a Trek SL7. I loved that ride. It was sporty, it was fast. I got all my personal records on that. But the harsh reality was that, I could only handle a couple rides before I needed to take a break. With a full suspension bike, I'm able to really ride hard and and because of the comfort, full suspension, it's not taking it out of me, and I don't have to take a lot of time off to kind of recover. I can just kind of keep going and keep going. So talk about the handling. It handles really nice. It handles kind of like a mountain bike. I know it's not exactly a mountain bike. The front suspension has 60 millimeters of travel, which is 20 millimeters more than on the Stigmata. So if you got the Rudy shock on the Stigmata, you're getting about 20 millimeters more suspension on the front shock. And then of course the rear shock is 55 millimeters. Now, how does it handle on the road? Well, this is Black Road in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And this is a fast descent. It's sharp, it's windy, and I'm probably in the dropper position here. I've dropped the seat, and I'm just really enjoying the ride. It handles really well on the road. Um, Today I went for a ride, and I put about 14 miles on the road and only 6 miles on dirt. But I wanted just to see what it was like to ride. Am I as fast on the checkout as I was on my Amanda? Certainly not. But I'm actually not that much slower, which is so really cool. And it just handles really well. The bike handles really well on the trail, handles really well on the road, and it's that great kind of in between bike that a lot of people are seeking when they get a bike like this. So my early impressions are super positive. I've kind of always wanted a full suspension gravel bike, and I know that Niner made one back in 2020, but Trek's got this bike out, and this is really capturing a lot of people's attention. And I think that this is definitely gonna change how people see gravel bikes.